Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan if you're new here, and I teach you how to eat healthy on a budget while trying to pay off your debt. And today I'm going to show you how to make an everyday sourdough sandwich bread. I do recommend getting a kitchen scale if you don't have one. This recipe comes out much better when all the ingredients are weighed out rather than just measured in measuring cups. And I do want to note that this recipe makes 2 loaves of bread. So you're just going to place a large bowl on your scale, and then to that you're going to add 130 grams of bubbly active sourdough starter. Now it is important that this starter is active. And then you're going to add 600 grams of warm water. And then 24 grams of sugar, and then 30 grams of oil. I like to use olive oil. I've also made this with coconut oil and it works great also, so just whatever you have on hand will work fine. Then just give all of that a good stir with a fork until it's all well combined, and then we're going to move on to our flour. So now you're going to add in 800 grams of bread flour and then 200 grams of all-purpose flour. If you don't have bread flour, you can just substitute that for all-purpose flour and it works fine. You will also need to add in 18 grams of salt. Now I'm just going to use my stand mixer and the paddle attachment to mix all this together. You can totally do this by hand. It will just take a little bit longer. So I just mix it on low for a few minutes so the flour doesn't kind of spray out of the bowl, and then speed it up and just mix it together until it's combined. Now once you have a rough dough, you will just leave it in the bowl, and you can cover it with saran wrap or even a damp towel works. And you're just going to leave it on the counter for about 30 minutes to an hour and let it rest. Don't do anything to it, and definitely don't skip this step. It seems really easy to skip over this, but it's really, really important. After the dough has rested, you're just going to work the dough into a smooth ball. I do this for about 20 seconds with the dough hook. You can also do it by hand. Again, it will just take a little bit longer, and you're just going to do it until it's really nice and smooth when it all comes together. Now, I don't worry about it looking perfect. I just make sure all the lumps are out and that the texture is pretty much smooth. I cover it with saran wrap again, and then now this is time for the bulk rise. Now I just put mine underneath the microwave light all night long. So I started this dough at about 8 o'clock the night before, and it is now 6 a.m. And this will take from 8 to 10 hours. It just depends on how warm the environment is. So you're just looking for the dough to double in size. Now you're just going to dump out the dough on a floured work surface and just kind of roll it into a log, tucking kind of all of the ends underneath. And then you're going to want to split this in half because we are making 2 loaves. So I just use a knife. You can use like a fancy pastry knife or dough knife, or I don't know what they're called. I just use a knife and it works out fine. And then you're going to do the same thing again with each separate piece of dough. Just roll it into a log, and then you're going to leave both of these out on the counter for about 5 or 10 minutes to rest. And then while the dough is resting, go ahead and oil your loaf pans. After the dough has rested for about 5 or 10 minutes on the counter, you're just going to gently pull the dough towards you, just kind of making it tighter on the counter. You'll feel the counter kind of grip that dough. Then you're just going to place the dough in the loaf pan. For the second rise, go ahead and cover it with saran wrap or a damp towel again, and then I just place it underneath the microwave light again, just like the perfect temperature for it. You can also put it in your oven with the light on, and that also works really well. So you're looking for the dough to rise about an inch above the pan. This took mine 2 hours. Again, the time will vary a little bit just depending on how warm the environment is. If it's cooler, it might take a little bit longer. If it's warmer, it might even be quicker. Place the loaf pans in a 375-degree oven and bake your bread for 40 to 45 minutes. The tops of the loaves should be nice and golden brown, and then this is completely optional, but it is delicious. I just get a little bit of salted butter and brush very, very lightly on top of them, and I let them cool in the loaf pans for about 10 minutes before transferring them to a wire rack, and I completely cool them there. And a great way to store these once they're all cold is just to wrap them in saran wrap and stick them in the fridge, and it makes for really easy slicing. And that is how easy it is to make homemade sourdough bread in your own kitchen. So just comment below if you guys make it and let me know how you enjoy it, or if you have any questions at all, I'd be happy to answer.